Hello there, this is the World News at 12 on Voice of the People, 90.3 FM. My name is Chioma Innocent, and here are the top stories. Trump to host signing of peace deal between leaders of DR Congo and Rwanda. Police rescue 5 abducted Rivers State University students. Senate clears 3 nominees for ambassadorial appointments, and Kogi government bans public and religious gatherings. Details now. Thank you for staying tuned. The World News at 12 begins outside Nigeria, where leaders of the Democratic Republic of Congo and Rwanda are set to sign a peace deal aimed at ending the long-running conflict in the region at a summit hosted by U.S. President Donald Trump in Washington. Ahead of the summit, there has been an escalation in fighting in resource-rich eastern DR Congo between government forces and rebels believed to be backed by Rwanda. DR Congo's army accused its rivals of attempting to sabotage the peace process, but the M23 rebels said the army had launched an offensive in breach of a ceasefire. DR Congo's President Felix Tshisekedi and his Rwandan counterpart, President Paul Kagame, have frequently exchanged insults in recent years, each accusing the other of starting the conflict. U.S. President Trump got the two countries' foreign ministers to sign a peace accord in June, hailing it as a glorious triumph. President Tshisekedi and Kagame will now endorse it, with several other African and Arab leaders, including those of Burundi and Qatar, expected to attend the signing ceremony. Back home in Nigeria, 5 students of the Rivers State University Nkpolu Oroworuko, Port Harcourt, who were abducted from the institution's satellite campus in Emoha local government area on Tuesday, have regained their freedom. The incident sparked widespread panic among students and triggered a protest, during which they demanded that the school management relocate them to the main campus for safety. Addressing the aggrieved student on Tuesday, the Vice Chancellor, Professor Isaac Zeb Obipi, announced a temporary suspension of academic activities at the Emoha campus and instructed all students residing there to vacate the premises until further notice. Confirming the development today, spokesperson for the State Police Command, Grace Iringe Koko, said the 5 abducted students were rescued unharmed during an operation carried out by police tactical teams and other security agencies at Rumodogo 2. In a statement, the police spokesperson disclosed that the rescued undergraduates have been taken to hospital for medical evaluation. She added that efforts are ongoing to apprehend the fleeing kidnappers. Meanwhile, Kogi State Governor Usman Ododo has introduced proactive measures to guarantee the safety of all citizens amidst the wave of insecurity in the state. In a statement released on the state website, he disclosed that he's taken decisive action against bandits and terrorists hiding within the state, with their activities being closely monitored by the state security agencies. He noted that the strategies of the state government is to be ahead of any attempt to destabilize the state. Recently, Governor Ododo addressed the press following a higher-level security meeting with security chiefs and traditional rulers, where he emphasized that the main focus of his security measures is to proactively target bandits in their hideouts, ensuring they have no chance to strike first. He declared that his administration is committed to making the state inhospitable for criminal activities. Key strategies include increased patrols, deployment of specialized units, and technological surveillance to track and apprehend criminal elements. The governor has also emphasized the importance of local vigilante groups and traditional leaders in intelligence gathering and maintaining peace within their communities. The governor also implemented a 4 p.m. ban on social, community, religious, and political activities in response to daily bandit attacks. New incidents of violence and abductions are still being recorded. In a recent development, the Senate has completed the screening of Kayode Are, Aminu Dalhatu, and Ayodele Oke, the three ambassadorial nominees forwarded to the upper chamber by President Bola Tinubu for confirmation. The nominees, who appeared before the Senate Committee on Foreign Affairs chaired by Senator Sani Bello, representing Niger North, were screened by the panel. The committee's report is expected to be presented at plenary for consideration and possible confirmation in due course. Speaking during the session, Senator Bello disclosed that Ayodele Oke had addressed and cleared all allegations previously raised against him. Ayodele Oke, an alumnus of Emory University in Atlanta, is a former Director General of the National Intelligence Agency (NIA) and previously served as Nigeria's ambassador to the Secretariat of the Commonwealth of Nations in London. Aminu Dalhatu previously served as Nigeria's ambassador to South Korea under the late President Muhammadu Buhari's administration. Kayode Are was the Director General of the State Security Service, (SSS), from 1999 to 2007. He served as National Security Advisor in 2010 and was an officer in the Directorate of Military Intelligence. Barely 2 months after the suspension of emergency rule in Rivers State and the reinstatement of democratic structures, tensions have resurfaced between Governor Siminalayi Fubara and members of the State House of Assembly led by Speaker Right Honorable Martins Amewule. During its 31st legislative sitting, the House condemned the vandalization of property at the Township School in Port Harcourt and other schools across the state. Lawmakers lamented the decayed infrastructure in public primary and secondary schools and accused the executive arm of doing little to address the situation. Acting on the report of the House Committee on Education, lawmakers questioned what Governor Fubara had done with the more than 600 billion naira reportedly left in the state coffers by the immediate past sole administrator, Rear Admiral Ibok Ete IBAS, retired when he exited office in September. Speaking during plenary, Speaker Martins Amewule accused the Rivers State government of failing to address the deplorable condition of schools, alleging that available funds were instead spent on sponsoring protests. The Speaker said that the state could not continue to operate schools without teachers and recalled that the last administration had initiated a process to employ 10,000 workers before leaving office. Responding to the accusations, Governor Fubara said his administration would only employ workers based on the genuine needs of the state and not for political satisfaction. Speaking at the 123rd and 124th combined quarterly general meeting of the Rivers State Council of Traditional Rulers on Monday, the governor said the rot in the educational sector did not begin under his administration and that steps were being taken to address the challenges. Addressing complaints over the halted employment of 10,000 workers, Fubara said his administration would not bow to pressure. In his words, "I will employ, but it must be based on the needs of the state. I won't engage in political employment to please everybody." End quote. Still on the world news, at 12, the Central Bank of Nigeria has removed the limit on cash deposits and raised the weekly cash withdrawal limit across all channels from 100,000 to 500,000 naira. The Apex Bank disclosed this in a circular to all banks titled Revised Cash-Related Policies, signed by Dr. Rita Sige, Director, Financial Policy and Regulation Department. The new directive will take effect from January 1, 2026. According to the CBN, the decision to overhaul its cash-related policies is driven by the need to reduce the rising cost of managing physical currency, bolster security around cash movement, and curb money laundering by encouraging greater use of electronic payment channels. I'm now being joined by legal luminary Barrister Asim Adams for the analysis segment of the World News at 12 this afternoon. Good afternoon to you, Barrister Asim Adams, and thank you for joining the conversation.
Yeah, good afternoon to you. Good afternoon, everybody.
Thank you very much for joining us today. How are you doing, sir?
I'm grateful. I thank God.
All right, then let's get right into the conversation. There's quite a lot of issues for us to discuss today, but let us begin with what is going on in the Rivers State House of Assembly, where the Speaker and some lawmakers have accused Governor Fubara of allowing the state educational system to rot. Now, they're saying that the governor is not paying attention to education in the state, that he is refusing to employ teachers, that the former administration put mechanisms in place to ensure that 10,000 workers were actually employed into the Ministry of Works. I'd like to get your take on that. The legislature, that's the River State legislature, is also claiming that the former sole administrator IBAS left 600 billion naira in the coffers of the state, and they're asking the question, what is the governor doing with this? Now, what Nigerians are saying is that it's just been about 2 months since the assembly resumed sitting, since the governor resumed his executive duties. Is it that these lawmakers are trying to again stir the hornet's nest, or do they have valid concerns?
Thank you very much. The lawmakers have valid concerns. People should stop playing politics to everything in Nigeria here. You see, I reside in Rivers State. I am a citizen or a Nigerian living in Rivers State for the past 15 years. And honestly, it is debilitating and it's so sad that the educational sector has been neglected quite recently. Now, the infrastructures in some of the schools that they build, there are schools you go to in River State where pupils still sit under the tree and on the floor. A state like River State that is very rich, one of the richest in Nigeria. Education, you cannot even provide quality education for the people. Of how many people do you have in River State in terms of the census? About 3.54 million Nigerians who are in River State. The schools are bad. Now, the quality of education, there are no good teachers. My kids' school in River State, do you know that I cannot dare, allow my child go to any of the public schools in River State? Because number one, there are no good teachers there. Number two, the teachers, the numerical strength of the teaching staff has reduced drastically. I don't know why the government has refused to employ more to take care of whatever is happening. Are you aware that in River State they do shifting? It is in those days I know that you have what they call morning and afternoon session in secondary school or primary schools. In River State that is done because teachers are not, you don't have most, they are not there. So what exactly is there? Why has he not recruited? 10,000 teachers were recruited. At least that will create employment for people again. But the governor has refused doing this. I have questioned this before even the legislators, begin to, question or probe this particular area of education. So, but before, when this crisis was going on, I questioned the governor, asked the governor the question, I said, why is this neglect for the educational sector in River State? Why is it that you are not able to do anything at all to enhance, and bring that particular standard that we have in Nigeria to par? Why? Nobody answered it. So, if you look at what the legislators are doing, it is part of their duties. It is their responsibility and legislative duty to oversight the governor in areas that is not performing. And education is one of those. The second one is agriculture. They are going to go there now. Maybe the next one will be agriculture. And people begin to ask the question, is it because of whatever it is or weak as the case may be? No, that is not the issue. The issue is that why this neglect in agriculture? Why this neglect in education? Why can't the state employ more teachers, to teach? Why do you still have morning and afternoon sessions in primary school in River State? Why are classrooms empty? There are no teachers there. Why are parents withdrawing their children from public schools in the whole of River State? Why? These are questions that should bother our minds.
So you do not see this as a witch hunting, seeing as both the legislators, the assembly, and the governor, that's the executive, just recently resumed duties. It's been just 2 months. What was the state of education under the sole administrator? If you're saying that the governor has refused to employ teachers, he's refused to renovate schools, he's refused to look into education, what was it like before the state of emergency was imposed on that state? What was it like under the sole administrator? It's been just 2 months. Don't you think they need to give the governor time? And also,
you don't need to, because let me tell you, this administration of Fubara started in 2023. The sole admin even stayed for just 6 months. So invariably we are saying that he has spent about a year plus before that, the emergency rule was declared. So for the period 1 year plus, I said I questioned the governor. I questioned in so many programs like this that I attended. I asked this question even before this crisis started. Before the crisis, the governor and the legislature started, we have been questioning the governor. Why the neglect? Why neglect the educational sector? The feeble answer the Commissioner for Information could give to us is that it's in the pipeline. That very soon they will look into it. So don't even compare. There's no basis for comparison between the solar and the executive governor of Rivers State. Because that man the governor has spent a year plus going to 2 years. So for the period he was in office, before emergency rule was introduced, what did he do in the educational sector? Are you aware that the budget of Rivers State for education was just about 100 billion or whatever? It was not up to 100 billion. That is the question we are asking. I have asked this question a number of times. If you go to Rumosi, if you go to Rumekini, these are schools along the road, inside Port Harcourt City. Not talk less of those in Ahoda or Koni area, or you go to Omok. In fact, they are non-existent in those hinterland I've mentioned. But in Port Harcourt City, where the governor resides, the headquarters of Rivers State, go to the schools there, the ones built by Amechi are in dilapidated situation. Students are sitting on the floor under the sun. There are inadequate teachers and teaching facilities. So the problem has been there. We thought that when he came into power, he was going to rejig it. We thought he was going to, better the lot in the educational sector, but he refused. Fubara never did anything. But he went ahead to award, the ring road, contract to trillions of naira to the detriment of the education of the people of Rivers State. This is what we have been asking him to do. It's not witch hunting. When people say it's witch hunting, I quick asking the question: is it because of the fact that there was squabbles between the legislature and the executive arm of government?
Some see it as that they are resurrecting these squabble, because whether we like it or not, these are still people who are loyal to the FCT minister Nyesom Wike, and also they are talking about 600 billion naira left in the state coffers by the sole administrator.
That is free. Let me tell you, we do not run opaque government. See, the government that we run in Nigeria under our constitution should be transparent. And accountability is the watchword. What am I trying to say? If the Solar said I left 600 billion naira in the coffers of Rivers State, has any official for the Ministry of Finance, Commissioner for Finance, or State House official come out to debunk that particular claim or refute that particular allegation and say, Mr. Solar, that is a lie. These are the books. This is what you left. This is what you left. This is what you spent. There's no 600 billion somewhere. But when they made the allegation, they kept quiet. And in most times, silence means acceptance. So when you cannot debunk, refute, or rebut, assertions, weighty ones for that matter, that the man said, I left 600 billion. Myself, I was surprised. I said, you mean it, 600 billion? I said, look, let them investigate. Let the governor
but they asked him, the Rivers Assembly, on their very first sitting, they tried to ask the sole administrator to come and account for how we spent the state's expenses, how we spent the state funds. And he said he was only accountable to the president. That asking him questions is like questioning the president. And he refused to appear before the State House of Assembly. And nothing was done. They couldn't do anything to him. They couldn't ask him any questions.
The point is this: he has left there. The man, he said, I left. For instance, just let me give you for an example. My father told me that he has about 10 million naira left for me in one of the banks in Nigeria here. Will I just fold my hands and just begin to walk away and say my father is talking rubbish? Why can't I approach that particular bank? My father is dead, or my father is no longer in Nigeria. I have to go to the bank. I look at the books. I look at the account details. So that truly he left such amount of money in the account. Don't wave it away and say because he was invited by the legislature and he refused to honor them. He said he was working for the president. It is now time for Fubara and his administration to expose the Solar. so that we can have what to lash in on and begin to run commentary on. But none of those is done. What has happened is that when you ask them, is it true that the man left 600 billion? They tell you we don't know. How can you be saying that you run an opaque government?
Barrister Sim Adams, here is one thing, right? When we're talking about it, the lawmakers are saying that the former governor Wike actually put things in place to ensure that 10,000 workers were employed into even that's before he left, right? So they're supposed to have about 10,000 new workers coming in, and of course out of these workers there will be some in the Ministry of Education. So if you say that Governor Fubara is not paying attention to education, why do you think that is? And he has responded to this by saying that he will employ based on the genuine needs of the state, that he will not engage in political employment just because he wants to please anybody.
You know, the problem we are having now is that the narrative being given by Steve Fubara is being bought by most of you people. And you believe that whatever he says, he is saying the truth. But those of us who are in the corridors of power and who are close to them know exactly that he is not saying the truth. The 10,000 people that were employed, I have relatives, I have friends. How much have they paid them? They were relieved of their duties recently. They were taken out because they said they were employed by the administration of Yeso Wike. So where is the 10,000 people that Wike employed? Why did he refuse paying them salaries? Why did he refuse them assigning them to positions? Is it not? Is Fubara not playing politics? With the people's life and destiny. These are questions should be asking. You see, people always believe that truth is one way. You don't want to even hear the other side of it. So whatever he turns out, because of that particular favoritism, that is a loved man, you believe that is what is true. It is not so. I am not speaking for the legislator or the Wike faction, as case may be, but I'm telling you the truth as an independent Rivers man who has been living in Rivers State. Every day I communicate with Rivers State. Every day I know what is going on there. Even the Ring Road project, like how far? Is that the most important that we even want in Rivers State? Have you gone out, do a survey from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. every day? Young men are in drinking parlors in Port Harcourt. And you now find that most of them go into crime and criminality. Because there's unemployment, massive unemployment in Rivers State for the youths. So these are realities on the ground. We are not playing politics with it. But we are observers, we know exactly what is going on, what is good for the people. Rivers State is a state that should be like Dubai of Nigeria. Rivers State should be a hub where, all energy giants, oil and gas companies all over Africa should be gathering by now. But go to Rivers State, go and see what is going on. It's a glorified village. So when you begin to ask questions like this and say the governor said so, it's not everything that the governor says that is true. These are things that we have to profile. The legislature must be allowed to do their work. And one of the works of the legislature under Section 1 is for them to monitor and hold the executive accountable. So if they are holding him accountable, they didn't say give me money. They only said, why is it that you are neglecting the sector of education? It is his own right to explain the reason why this is happening and how he's going to correct it.
And you are saying that indeed education is neglected in the state?
Absolutely, I repeat, I reiterate, I confirm. Absolutely so. I am telling you because I reside there, my children school there. You understand? My children school there. So I'm not talking as an outsider. I am speaking to you as somebody that is participating there in politics. Otherwise, I reside there. My family and everything, we are there. I pay tax in Rivers State. So we have been talking about this educational sector for the past 2-3 years. So if the government is still, paying me like a dassical, about it, and does not want to rejig it, because we asked him when he was campaigning, he told us the educational blueprint. I speaking with you, I was the spokesperson to Beatrice Itubo, Labour Party candidate, in the 2023 election. I debated with the PDP, candidates and the rest their representatives in the seminar that was organized by INEC and WIS Foundation. We talked about education. I gave them our own blueprint the Labour Party blueprint for education in Rivers State. PDP never submitted anyone. They ran away from that particular conversation. The APC came, they brought a very feeble and unjustifiable pathway. But we, Labour Party, I was the one that represented Labour Party and the candidate of the candidate of Rivers State, Labour Party Rivers State. We have our own blueprint. If you need it, I can bring it for you tomorrow in your office and for you to see. So it has been there. So not a matter of it's been maybe just started today. No. We have been clamoring that please, the Labour Amechi left the education in Rivers State, please up the ante, add to whatever Amechi left behind.
That begs the question, what was it like in the education sector during Wike's tenure then?
It was maintained, Wike maintained to an extent Amechi's projects, and he maintained to an extent the educational sector, the integrity that Amechi left. So I am saying, I am just giving you an independent analysis, objective one. You understand? The schools that Amechi built, Wike built more, upgraded them, and even employed more teachers. So what has this man done? That is the question we're asking. In the educational sector, he has never employed one teacher. And he say until there's need for it. Who told you there's no need? Because the children do not attend public school, so that is why he's not bothered about it. That is what I feel.
All right, Barrister Asim Adams, let's talk about the Senate confirmation of 3 non-career ambassadors that were actually forwarded to them. This Ayodele Oke, Aminu Dahatu, and Kayode Are. The Senate has cleared the 3 nominees for ambassadorial appointments. Now, this is coming despite some allegations of corruption against Ayodele Oke, a civil society organization, that is the Civil Society Legislative Advocacy Center, CISLAC, had recently, that was towards the end of November, when these nominations came up, they had called on the Senate, called on the DSS to immediately reject these nominations, saying that he has an unresolved corruption case that has to do with the discovery of some amount of money, hefty amount actually, $43.4 million, 27,800 pounds, and $23.2 million in an apartment in Ikoyi. That was in April 2017, and then he had a case with the EFCC. Now the Senate said they asked him about all of these allegations and that he defended himself, and so they saw no reason why they should not confirm him. What's your take on that, sir?
My take is this: under the Nigerian criminal jurisprudential system, if you allege that somebody is a thief, because you have alleged does not make that person a thief. You must go to court and prove those allegations beyond all reasonable doubts. That is the cardinal point of our criminal jurisprudence system. The second one, Section 36 of 5, says that for everybody that is accused of an offense or criminal offense, as the case may be, he is presumed innocent until the contrary is proven in a court of law. So the man you make allegations against, so as I sit down here, somebody writes a petition to you and says, Barrister is a fraudulent man. You sit down there and take it to the market and say, I'm fraudulent. You're not taking me before the court. The court has not convicted me in line with the constitutional provision. And you want me to just sit down and believe that truly what you turned out is true? If you feel that the man is a thief, or the man embezzled, as the case may be, take the matter to court. As EFCC that is being called, that the EFCC TC, why have they not taken him to court? If they are taking him to court, has EFCC come to tell the Senate these are the allegations against him? Even if you have those allegations, no matter how weighty the allegations are, until and unless a court so pronounced to say he's guilty, you cannot find him guilty on social media pages, on pages of newspaper, or maybe in beer parlors or sitting around the corners, in street corners. So these are things we must have to understand. I am not blowing the trumpet for them. But what I'm trying to say is that due process should be followed. See, this pull him down syndrome, as the case may be, is something that it bothers me. Donald Trump of America, he was convicted of crimes in New York, the state of New York, before he became president second time. But today he's not the president of America. But you see, there are laws. You see, if you don't go with the laws and you think that you can operate outside the law because you get a man, politically speaking, etc., then you are being mistaken. My question is this. I am not saying that Sislak is not correct, but the question I'm asking is that will you just on mere allegation of corruption or mere allegation of money being found in his apartment somewhere and nobody has proven that, then you now say the man is corrupt? So the man was able to explain himself. And I'm very sure that the question he asked the Senate was that if EFCC or Sislak can come forward and show them documents where he has been prosecuted and found guilty, then we can tell him to get out of this place. So these are things we must have to understand. My dear sister, we see Nigeria belongs to all of us. This kind of gaslighting and whatever that we have in here because of political leaning and affiliation to create opera in the public firmament, for me it's not good. We must have to be objective at times, or most times impossible. That is the take. The president has the right under section 14 sub 3 to appoint anybody wants to appoint. The only thing section 14 sub 3 says is that he must give what they call federal character. That is spread. If you are nominating ambassadors, you must not only give to Yorubas alone, or Igbos alone, or Hausas alone. Igbos, Hausas, Yoruba, South, etc. must be on the list. That is what that section is talking about. So if the president is able to fulfill that section 14 sub 3 of spread or federal character, I don't see anything wrong. This Hula, Balu, whatever they're talking about. Everything people want to criticize and say whatever. It's so sad. I just want to say that rumors fly so faster and accepted against those who are hated by the public. That is what is happening here. Many people don't want to provide situations and
so who is being hated here? Is it the president who nominated him, or is it the man himself?
The president is being hated. The three people that are there hated. Even Reno Omokri. Imagine Reno Omokri now. Many of them are saying they should not be ambassador. I ask them, I begin to laugh at them. Reno Omokri, who is an ambassador? When you say an ambassador, your radio station is voice of the people television radio station. Now, if I want to be an ambassador to your radio station, I should be able to go out and promote your radio station. Will you go and employ somebody that will destroy your radio station as your ambassador?
You see nothing wrong with Reno Omokri's nomination and others.
I see nothing wrong because before then he has been promoting Nigeria.
The reason why some people see something wrong with it is because of they feel like he spews divisive rhetorics, and that in the past he has called the president a drug lord. He has used derogatory words on the president. So it would seem to many Nigerians that he is a man who does not have integrity and who cannot stand on principle. If he can turn around and start representing the same administration that he had before denigrated.
Let me quickly tell you all this. A lot of people you see today, the big people you call today, one time or the other, said things against Nigeria or against each other. But later they came back and they started working together. Daniel Bwala was against Tinubu. I saw the time he left APC, went to PDP. He was working for Atiku. But today he's not working for Tinubu, as the case may be. These are things. You see, in politics, people forget that in politics, you don't have permanent enemies, but permanent interests. And in the Nigerian political firmament, people think that what ought to be, every time what ought to be, we are talking about what is. In the Nigerian political firmament, don't deceive yourself. It is transactional. And prescriptive. That is why you find out that a man who was in PDP yesterday, he now looks at APC, is going to get more benefits. He will jettison and leave PDP and run to APC, and vice versa, because it is transactional. So most people who go into politics today in Nigeria, don't deceive yourself. They are not righteous politicians. They are always looking for their ways to open the treasury box and loot. So when some people begin to say, we are opposition leaders, we are criticizing, if you give them opportunity, you will begin to criticize them again. So these are the problem with Nigerian political lithosphere is transactional. What do I get? That has been the bane. That has been the problem that we have been having. That a reason why Nigeria cannot move forward. Now, let me shock you. Are you aware that from 1999, about 25 years or thereabout now, ago, we have not had good government and good governance. But every 4 years we keep voting. Why are we doing voting? If 2027 again, we are still going to vote. And don't be surprised that by 2028, whoever that we emerge as president, they will begin to criticize that same person again. Even if the most righteous politician come into power, people will criticize him the next time. If people can criticize Jonathan, is it not today we are regretting that Jonathan was better than the rest of them now? But when he was there, people didn't never wanted to listen to any objective argument or things about him. They felt he was the devil. They felt he was the problem of Nigeria. So when lie this particular issue that Nigerians are never satisfied with their leader, that tells you that the system we operate is transactional. Even most Nigerians who are criticizing today, give them the spoon, they'll dish rice out of that pot on a daily basis and take the biggest meat on that particular treasure and go away. That is the situation. We have to be objective most times in this country. Narratives that are emotional will put us into more problems. That is the thing I find. Raymond Mokri, let me tell you, before he was even nominated, I have been following his page. He has been displaying Nigerian cultural whatever it is. He has been promoting Nigeria. So if you are the president, won't you appoint such person as your ambassador? Are you going to take a man like Atiku who does not like Nigeria to be your ambassador?
What makes you believe Atiku does not like Nigeria, Barrister Asim?
No, I'm just trying to tell you, as the case may be. They say they don't. They will tell you that Nigeria is a useless country. Everybody say Nigeria is a useless country. Nigeria is a useless country. But nobody wants to say citizens, some of the citizens are useless too. So these are the problem we're having.
Barrister Asim Adams, thank you so much for your opinion, your perspective, and your analysis on the World News at 12 this afternoon. I appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. God bless you.
All right, enjoy the rest of your day. You have been listening to the World News at 12 right here on Voice of the People 90.3 FM. Just before we wrap up, let's take a look at the top stories again. You heard that Trump will host the signing of a peace deal between the leaders of DR Congo and Rwanda. Police rescue 5 abducted Rivers State University students. Senate clears 3 nominees for ambassadorial appointments, and Kogi state government bans public and religious gatherings. That is a wrap on the World News at 12 on Voice of the People 90.3 FM. My name is Chioma Innocent. Good afternoon and thank you for listening. Stay tuned. Matters will be coming up by 1:30 p.m.